Hey everyone, in this tutorial I will be teaching you on how to control this rectangle by using your keyboard. By controlling, I mean that you'll be able to move this rectangle to many positions on the screen of the program. So far what we have in this program is that we've created the rectangle and we set the color of the rectangle to red. We also created the J frame of the program, and we added the J panel onto the J frame. This class extended the J panel, and we also implemented the action listener. So make sure that you have all these libraries imported. We use this timer object for animation. If you don't know what this really does technically, then I suggest you to watch my last tutorial. This X variable represents the position of the rectangle horizontally. So we set this as 0, so that means that this rectangle will be starting out on the far left side of the window. This Y represents the position of this rectangle vertically, and we set this to 0. So that means that this rectangle will be starting out on the top left corner of the program or the window. And the VELX represents the speed of the rectangle horizontally. We set this as 0 because the users didn't tell Java to move it yet. And the VLY represents the speed of the rectangle vertically. We set this as 0 also because the users didn't tell Java to move it yet. And we use this tm.start to start the timer so we can begin the animation process once the user used their keyboard to move the rectangle. So yeah, looks like we're ready to get started. So yeah, we also have to implement another interface, which is the KeyListener. And this right here is the interface where we can use so Java can read what the users are pressing on the keyboard or typing or releasing on the keyboard. So yes, make sure that you imported the Java key listener. Once you get that done, then now let's use this constructor. In order to use this key listener onto this program, we have to type in add key listener. Open and close parentheses and semicolon. And we type in this. This right here is referring to this right here. The reason why this is not referring to this is because that this method is really meant for this, not for this. So that's why there's no interference with to this. And this timer object is meant for the action listener. So that's why they're not interfering each other. Once you get that done, then let's tell Java that we want to enable the key listener onto this program. So yeah, you type in set focusable and then parentheses and type in true because we do want to enable the key listener. So that's why it says set focusable, and we set that as true. And the next one, type in set focus traversal keys enabled. It's a really long method, and set that to false because we won't be using the shift or tab key at all. So that's why we set that. Yeah, we set this as false. And now let's work with the action listener. Let's begin. Still over here. Let's make the method action performed here. So yeah, you type in public void action performed. Action event E. And we already have the action event imported from the Java library. Inside of this method, we'll be using these variables. So yeah, type in x equals x plus velocity x. So what we're telling Java is that the x's are initially to 0. But like if the users like move something or press the button on the keyboard, and let me use the arrow keys for the example. If I press up or press R, or not R, press right or left, then that number will be saying, alright, let's say 1 plus 0, and that new x value will be 1. And if I kept pressing down on the keyboard, then it'll be like 1 plus 1 equals 2. So that's the new x value. So yeah, if you don't understand what I just said, then yeah, watch my last tutorial, because in that video I taught you how to do this. And then now let's do the same thing for y. Y equals y plus VELY. Yeah, this right here is the same thing what we did for x. Initially, this y is 0. So like if I press the up or down key, then it'll be like 1 plus 0 equals 1 for new y value. And so on. And now we use the method repaint. If you don't know what repaint does, then yeah, watch my last tutorial, because I went over that too. And yeah, after you get that done, then let's type in the method for the key listener. So yeah, type in public void key pressed. It's when the users press down onto the keyboard. And we type in key event E, like we did for the action listener, action event E, but key event E is different. We also have to import the key events. So now we have this library. So make sure that you have this library imported so we can use the key event. Alright, well now let's do the fun part. Alright, well now we have to type in int c equals e dot get key code. And this right here gets the code from the keyboard or the buttons. On your keyboard, each buttons are assigned to each code. So like when the user pressed the arrow key for an example, like the up key, then it has a special coding value. So we use the int c so we can retrieve the information from the get key code. And now we use the int c variable, so we can use that as the if else statement, or if statements I mean. We'll only use the if statements because the users can press multiple keys in a certain amount of time. So the if statements will be good for this. So type in C equals key event dot, and this is the code for the up key. Or let's use the left key first. So VK underscore left. That's the special code for the left arrow key on your keyboard. If that is pressed, then let's use the VELX, the velocity. Set that to negative. -1. Let's do the speed of -1. And the reason why we're doing -1 on the left side, like once you're going left, is because that when you go on left of the screen, you're taking the negative value. If you go on right, then you're using the positive value. So hope you understood what I just said. And let's use velocity y to 0 because we didn't mess with the up or down key. And now let's do the same thing for the up key. If C equals key event let's do the code is the same thing, VK, but this time it'll be up. If key event up, if you're pressing up, then yeah, let's use the VX to 0 and VELY, set that to -1. If you're going up, that means it'll be in a negative value. If it's going down, then that'll be the positive value. So semicolon that. And now let's do the right key, the arrow key. So C.EE key event let's do VK, same thing, underscore right. So yeah, VELX, we use +1 if you're going right. VELY, set that as 0 since we're not messing with the up or down key. And finally, for the last one, type in if C equals key event and do VK down. And we set the VELX to 0 for the negative, or not negative. Yeah, we set the X for 0 since we're not moving or pressing the left or right key. And we use 1 since you're going down, it'll be positive. So far, we're done with this method. We have to type in 2 more methods. We don't really use that, but we have to type the method in order to compile the program. So type in public void key typed key event E. We really don't need that, and we have to make one more. Public void key released is when the user stops pressing onto the keyboard. We won't be needing that right now, but yeah. Alright, once you type in all the methods, then it looks like we're ready to compile. So run this, and now you have a rectangle on the top left corner of the screen. If I move it with the right arrow key, then it'll move. If I go down, then go down. If I go left, it'll go left. The only problem is that when I release the key, it kept on going. It keeps on going. So in order to stop the rectangle when you release the key of the keyboard, we use this method, the key release method, if you don't like your rectangle to be moving after you release the button. So yeah, you use this method right here. And the only thing you have to do is set everything to 0. So VEL X equals 0 and VEL Y equals 0. So yeah, once you get that done, then when you release the key, once the rectangle is moving, then no stop. So let me move it. It stops. See? I let go. It stops. Yeah. There's a problem with this program because if I press any arrow keys holding down without letting it go, then this rectangle will appear outside of this screen. Same goes for the other side, and top and then bottom. So in order to fix that, we have to tweak up this method right here, because this is the only method that actually animates the rectangle's movement. In order to place restrictions on a position, then we have to type in the if statements. So type in if x is less than 0, meaning if the rectangle is on the left side and outside of the screen, then Java will perform this statement right here. So we'll be telling Java that we want to stop the speed and reposition to 0, x equals 0. If we don't reposition the rectangle's position, then the speed will be at 0 forever, meaning that you can't even move at all. So that's why we reposition the x value back to 0 if it's less than 0. Let's do the same thing with the other side though. Let's do the x position but on the other side. So if x is greater than, let's do 530. My Windows 600, so yeah. You can change it if you want. This depends on your program. If your program is going to have a wall or something, then yeah, it's up to you. But this program will have 530. That's the maximum it can go. Anything bigger than that, then it will reposition the rectangle. So yes, this right here really means that if the rectangle is on the right side but outside of the screen, so stop the velocity 0 and reposition the x to 530. Now let's do the y's. If y is less than 0, meaning if the rectangle is outside of the screen and is at the top too, then you have to stop the velocity equals 0 and reposition the y to 0. Now let's do one more. If y is greater than, let's do 330. The height of the window is 400. So yeah, like I said, you can change the value anytime you want. If that ever happens, then we stop the velocity and we reposition the y to 330. So now we're done. Now let's run and see what happens. Yep. It can't go off screen now. So yes, this concludes my tutorial over how to control your rectangle by using your keyboard. So thanks for watching and stay tuned for my next tutorial.